So what's the most swankified place in town? Hey, how y'all doing? So yeah, this is green eyeshadow all over my face. I didn't have any green paint, so went with what I had, which was eyeshadow, which may be why it looks kind of not quite right, but I mean, I tried my best. Like, I did a little contour, I did a little green contour. And this hat, I believe, is for children. So for those of you that don't know, I am a recovering theater kid. Oh, yes, yes. And so when I caught wind of a Wicked movie in the works, I was excited. I was nervous. I was really nervous. It was not going to be good. Then I saw it. It is pretty much the only thing that I can think about, talk about, listen to. It's the only thing on my mind, and therefore it was inevitable. Like, I need to do a YouTube video for this because I need an excuse to talk about it. I thought about ranking the songs, but I fear I just like all the songs too much, and so it wouldn't be that entertaining. It'd be like all of them in A and S, and then like Sentimental Man and Something Bad in like F. So, you know, it's like, what am I supposed to do there? And I thought something that I do a lot on this channel is I rank ships. And I haven't seen anybody do this with Wicked, probably because there's not that many ships in Wicked. You know, there's about actually 3 or 4 real relationships in the movie that you could maybe classify. For a video like this, I had to get a little creative. Okay, I had to get a little niche to be able to make this video work. But I think I've accomplished that, and I think we've got a good little batch of ships to go through here that we're gonna rank. And you might be asking, oh, Megan, what makes you qualified to do this? I have seen the Wicked stage show twice in my life. Once when I was very little, and once in 2019. I've also seen the Wicked movie twice, plan to see it again next Tuesday, probably more times after that. I own the book. I haven't read it. Everything I hear about this book is pretty terrifying, therefore I have not cracked it open. All this to say, I do feel qualified to do this video, and I hope you guys agree. Now, as of filming this, only Wicked Part 1 is out. I know that there are a lot of people out there that don't know the entirety of the story of Wicked. I obviously do. However, I'm going to try my best to keep this video spoiler-free for Part 2 for the most part. In my defense, you guys, like, The Wizard of Oz has been out for like 100 years. This book has been out for close to that, and the Wicked Broadway musical has been out for 20 years. So it's like, I'm gonna do my best not to do a bunch of spoilers for you guys, but also, it's been out there. It's not like this is breaking news. So yeah. However, if you haven't seen Wicked Part 1, definitely don't watch this, because I'll definitely be getting into all the spoilers of Wicked Part 1. Anyway, let's get into it. Let's go through the different categories that we have. So up at the top, we're gonna have holding space for this.
I've seen this week people are taking the lyrics of Defying Gravity and really holding space with that.
I didn't know that that was happening. It's really powerful.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was happening.
This is going to be the best of the best ships. I'm holding space for them. I didn't know this was happening. It's bringing me to tears. I love them so much. Right below that is going to be right. This is going to be ships that just feel good. They feel right and they make sense to me. They may not be the ones that I'm the most passionate about. I'm not necessarily holding space for them myself, but they're right. Right! Below that we have two good friends. Two best friends. This category is for the ones that these are besties, okay? These are friends. I don't necessarily see them romantically, but they don't have any ill will, okay? I still think they're vibing. They just might not be romantic. And then below that we have Nessa. Nessa.
Listen, Nessa. 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 Nessa.
Nessa. Nessa. And this category, I'm confused, right? Like, I'm just kind of perplexed by these pairings. They aren't necessarily negative, I just can't really figure them out. Right below that, we have Something Bad. As in, something bad is happening in Oz, and it's this pairing. And then the very last category right below that is Simple Utter Loathing. Now, this one is reserved for something bad is happening in Oz, but I myself am specifically loathing this pairing. Okay, first up we have Fanny and Shen Shen. Now, For those of you that don't know, in the Broadway musical, Fanny is actually usually played by a female actress, but in the movie, they gender bent it and Bowen Yang is playing Fanny. Love that choice, by the way. He is so fun in the role. And him and Shen Shen are kind of like the mean girls. These two are attached at the hip. They're always together. However, I do not see them romantically. I think Fanny is probably pretty obviously of the LGBT community. I wouldn't be surprised if Shen Shen is as well. And for that reason, we are going to put them in two good friends, because they are two good friends. They are two very good friends, arguably too close. They're always together. It's like, you know, find some individuality there. But they're two good friends. They're going to go in two good friends. Okay, next up we have, the one, the only, Glinda and Elphaba. The entire movie, the entire show is about the relationship between Glinda and Elphaba. No matter how you look at it, that is the truth. It's about them. I love these two so dearly. Like, the thought of their relationship honestly could bring tears to my eyes. If I hear any of the notes of For Good, I'm gonna want to kill myself. The Ozdust ballroom scene, for example, instant tears in my eyes. No, they're the perfect opposites attract. If we're gonna get into it, I do think Elphaba is bi and I think Glinda is gay. There, I said it. That's just my opinion. I do think, they're talking about what is this feeling so sudden and new. They believe it to be loathing. I do think that there is attraction there. I think they're getting it a bit confused. I think, everybody's been there. Anyway, all this to say, I'm obviously holding space for Elphaba and Glinda. I hold space for Elphaba and Glinda every damn day, okay? The way that Cynthia and Ariana portray them as well, you can just feel their bond. They don't even have to say anything. It's just the way they look at each other and you feel it, and it's just beautiful. I'm obviously holding space for it. I'm an Elphaba and Glinda believer. It's not the smoothest road. They do have a bit of a tragic story, but it's still beautiful, and I'm still holding space for it. Oh, speaking of holding space, space and the song Defying Gravity. Like I said, I did have to get creative with this. Holding space, I'm obviously holding space for space and Defying Gravity. Okay, you need to be holding space for Defying Gravity every day. You need to be holding space for the lyrics of Defying Gravity every day. I think it's a requirement at this point. I certainly do. So I hope that you are as well. And it's obviously going right up there next to Glinda and Elphaba. It deserves to be in that category. All right, next up we have a very contentious pairing. And this is gonna go ahead and be Nessa Rose and Bach. Me and Bach. I don't know if any of you guys are on the Bach side of TikTok. Shout out Molly. Your hatred for Bach brings me such joy.
Oh, me and Bach. Yeah, we're perfect together.
And I have to agree, Bach is just the worst. It's just the worst. Let's get into it, okay? Bach doesn't even know Glinda. He sees Glinda and instantly is like, I'm in love with you. Glinda, be mine. Sir, I just think we should all be self-aware enough to know our limits. Bach, you're not gonna get with Glinda. And then to turn nasty and to use Nessa Rose to get to Glinda. It's just sickening. It's just disgusting, to be completely honest. And I feel bad for Nessa Rose at first. Okay, I feel bad for her because she doesn't know. She thinks, oh, finally for this one night, I'm about to have a fun night. Sure, with this munchkin boy Glinda found for me, but with a boy nonetheless. And, I respect that. And she's excited about that. Little does she know, he's using her. Okay, and he's not asking her for the right reasons. And it's sad. Just be honest. Just be honest with her, Bach. Me and Bach. So then they strike up a relationship. And again, I promise not to get into Wicked Part 2. But for those of us that know where this story goes with Nessa Rose and Bach, I don't know, what direction the movie's gonna go with it, but it's a toxic time. And it's not good for either of them. And so in that sense, they do honestly kind of deserve each other. We deserve each other, me and Bach. They kind of do. On the low key. However, I think it's pretty obvious for most of us, this is in simple utter loathing. It's not good. In any way you look at it, it is not good. Okay, next we have Madame Morrible and the Wizard. They are not the nicest people. That's been established. However, they do kind of complement each other. They both have the same sort of conniving, sinister energy, and they have an almost a gravitas, like a theater about them. You know, I'm not saying I like them, but together, I do think they make sense. And I could see it being a good romantic relationship for the both of them. I don't know about for society, but for them, like, it definitely works for them. And for that reason, I am gonna put them in right. Like, if anybody is gonna end up with anybody, when it comes to Madame Morrible and the Wizard, like, those are really, you know, that's like their only option, if we're being honest. I thought about putting some of the animal characters in here, like Dr. Dillamond, Dulcie Bear, but it was starting to feel a little bit on the verge of bestiality, and I didn't want to get into it, to be completely honest. But I did consider it, okay? So don't be in the comments like, where's Dr. Dillamond? I thought about Dr. Dillamond, okay? There just wasn't a viable option, in my opinion. He also doesn't really interact with anybody except Alpha for the most part. And that seems wrong. Oh god, okay, Bach is back again. We have Glinda and Bach. Now, I got into this a little bit. I'm trying to avoid talking about the real life things that perhaps went on or are going on with the actors, Ariana and Ethan Slater. Ethan Slater! Ethan Slater! It's the music post for me. Ethan Slater! For me. That song is so catchy. Okay, and again, my hatred for Bach has nothing to do with Ethan Slater. I've never liked the character. Both times I've seen the musical live, puts a bad taste in my mouth, Bach. Like, oh god, I do not like him. Like I said earlier, I do think Glinda is gay. Her with any man, like, it's just not really adding up. But especially her with Bach, that's something bad. That is something bad. I'm gonna put it in something bad because I don't think I'm actively loathing it. To be honest, I don't give it that much thought. You know, it's like nothing actually really happens. I mean, she literally calls him Bick and like goes out of her way not to talk to him. They don't interact that much to the point that I could put them in simple utter loathing. I hope that makes sense. Anyway, moving on. Next we have Fanny and Fiyero. This is our first time talking about Fiyero on this list. Jonathan Bailey. Wow. When Jonathan Bailey got cast as Fiyero, I said, now that's something I'm gonna wanna see. Dancing Through Life, I mean, give it up, right? Round of applause. And I love his entrance to the school. Everybody's in the courtyard. Everybody is instantly obsessed. They said, who is this man? I think he's canonically playing Fiyero as bi because he gives attention to everybody under the sun. And I love to see it. And that includes Fanny. Fanny, I mean, is instantly taken by Fiyero. And honestly, Fiyero, like, does he dismiss Fanny a little bit? Yes, but I think that's just kind of like his playful vibe. I think there's a little bit of energy there. I think there's a little bit of flirtation there. I don't know, like, obviously I have a stronger allegiance to Fiyero and somebody else that we'll get into. However, I do think there's a world where it would be fun if, say, Glinda and Elphaba were together and Fiyero and Fanny were together. I do think Fanny maybe needs to work on himself a little bit, do a little self-reflection on the likes of bullying, etc., etc. But I think once Fanny does that work, I think him and Fiyero could really vibe. And I'm sorry to say, I'm gonna put them in right. It might seem a little high considering they really don't interact that much, but it's my list and I can do what I want, and that just feels right to me. Next up, we have Nessa Rose in a house. Oh, how did that get in there? Ooh, Moving on. Okay, next we have a really random one. This is gonna go ahead and be Bach and Fiyero. They do interact, okay? They do interact. Unlike Fanny and Fiyero, there's just no spark here. I don't even really feel that they're good friends. I think Fiyero kind of tolerates Bach. I think Fiero's a nice guy and he doesn't want to be mean to Bach. If anything, I'm perplexed by this pairing. I would put them in Nessa, Nessa. I've got something to confess. Next we have Elphaba and Bach. I don't even really remember making this and putting this in here. Do they interact? I can't recall them interacting at all, at least in Wicked Part 1. I guess I would put them in Nessa, Nessa. I'm just really confused by it. And more so, I'm confused why I put it in here. Glinda and Fiyero. Now, this is an actual relationship that actually happens in the movie. I know, shocker. I don't have very many of those on this list. Ariana Grande and Jonathan Bailey are fantastic actors. Any scene that the both of them they are in is gonna be good. However, I don't feel the chemistry between them. I mean, they're fun. I love them both, obviously. And I do think they get along well. I just don't think they give each other what they need for a relationship. I think that they're gonna go ahead and be in two good friends because I do think that ultimately what they have is a friendship. I don't really think it is a relationship, but I do think they're two good friends, and I do think that they could be lifelong friends. I think they could be besties if they didn't maybe have like eyes for the same woman. You know what I mean? And last but certainly not least, we have Elphaba and Fiyero. Now, me personally, I am an Elphaba and Fiyero truther. I am an Elphaba and Fiyero believer. You're getting the beginnings of their story in Wicked Part 1. I love to watch the journey that they're on. I think they have great chemistry. Not quite enemies to lovers, but I mean, you know, they're a little, what's the word, combative. And I love that she gets him starting to take down this mask that he has and like getting to the root of who he is into his heart. And oh my gosh, I'm not that girl. Ugh, destroyed me. I love when she's become friends with Glinda and she's flipping her hair and stuff, and he's like, you don't need to be doing all that. Like, I liked you before. It's giving popular guy, loser girl trope, and I'm a sucker for it. What can I say? Yeah, they're definitely going in holding space. I can't wait for everybody to see Wicked Part 2 and like what's to come with them. Let's say there is a phenomenal duet between the two of them that I'm very excited to see. I wish I had more ships to rank, but this was really all I could come up with. If you guys have any other pairings, I'd love to hear them down in the comments below. Yeah, this is our finished tier list. Take a good long look at it. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this video. I really appreciate you guys letting me yap about Wicked. Again, it's all I want to talk about right now, and probably for the next year, it will be heavily in conversation. Don't be surprised if I start talking about it in videos frequently. Perhaps I'll make more Wicked videos if you guys enjoyed this. I don't know if I will make myself green for each one, but this was fun. I did get to live out a little bit of a fantasy here. I am extremely excited for Wicked Part 2 next year. Maybe we can revisit the tier list next year. All this to say, like and subscribe. Comment down below who your favorite ship from Wicked is. Remember to continue holding space for the lyrics of Defying Gravity. It's extremely, extremely important. Me and Buck. New hyperfixation just dropped. Dancing through life, etc., etc. Me and Buck. No, in the sense that